Hey Rebels, for the last few episodes, I've been mentioning that we're now an affiliate member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network, but I haven't really gone too deep into an explanation of what that means or why you should care. Today, I'm sitting down with a man who's kind of behind the scenes, but also at the front of it too. He's helping build this provincial podcast community. His name is Dale Richardson. Dale, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
How's it going?
Great. It's good. Yeah, we're having a beer and we were talking about some interesting things before you hit the record button. So yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Thank you.
I see you're wearing a Seinfeld Costanza 2020 shirt.
Yes, I think that everyone agrees that in the 2020 election that these two are likely the best two candidates to be running based on what else is going out there, and they would definitely beat Donald Trump, I think, if they ran. So yeah.
Well, the jerk store called. They're running out of you.
I love Seinfeld. I was watching Comedians in Cars this morning. The new season just came out, so yeah. These guys, they would win. Although George is just so stupid that, people maybe wouldn't want him to be the vice president. But yeah, I love this shirt.
Always gets a comment.
Actually, you're maybe the first to comment on it. Maybe I don't wear it out enough, but I always kind of put it on thinking somebody will say something, and they don't. So thank you for doing that.
Maybe I'm exceptional because I'm a bit of a political junkie.
Yeah.
Like people run screaming from talking about politics, whereas I'm like, that's my meat and potatoes.
Yeah, no,
so
same.
That's my background from school. I love
Right.
to talk about it. People hate talking to me about politics.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. Well, this shirt's just so funny. I think that maybe somebody would have said something, and just the idea of these two characters, ever running for any type of office is I think very funny. So
I think it'd be a lot more predictable than the status quo right now.
well, these two guys definitely wouldn't care about anyone, because Seinfeld's the TV series, their motto was no hugging, no learning. So there would be no compassion towards anyone in America, which is, in a lot of ways really what's going on right now. But it would just maybe be a little more funny with the current president. It's just,
Sideways.
there's not a lot of laughs there with that guy. Somebody actually, not to go on about this too long, but somebody actually said they observed that they had never seen Donald Trump laugh. Like actually hear somebody say something funny and respond with a genuine, belly laugh. He might do like a huh type thing where he finds something kind of like interesting, but nobody has ever seen him laugh out loud. And then then when they said that, that's the only thing I can think of when I see this guy, doing interviews, is nobody's ever seen him laugh. Like Obama would always, because he actually went on Comedians in Cars with Jerry Seinfeld, and like I think Obama is a genuinely, he has a very good sense of humor, but I don't know if Donald Trump does. I don't think he laughs.
Really?
You should keep an eye out for this now.
Well, now I can't. Now everything I'm going to watch is be like, is he ever laugh?
I don't think he does. So that's an observation. And if anybody listens, or if anybody listening to this has seen him actually laugh, please let us know.
Maybe when he's like skinning puppies for a jacket.
Right. Yeah.
101 Dalmatians, perhaps.
Right. This beer is quite good, by the way.
So let's talk about it. Talk about it. It's the Summer Wheatley beer. It's a brand new beer. We launched it about a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
4.2% ABV.
Yeah, it's a little bit lighter. I could tell.
Yep. It's supposed to have, well, why don't you tell me what you perceive, and then I'll catch you up with the brewer's notes.
Well, basically everything that you just said. It is lighter. It doesn't. It's not. It's obviously not as strong tasting as some of your other beers, like your lentil beer. I find to be, there's some hit to that one. But no, I would definitely, if I was out at the lake, I would definitely drink this one.
Yeah.
I quite like it. And I'm assuming that that's what you guys are going for with this beer.
Wheat beers tend to be light and soft.
Yeah.
When I look at it and it kind of, it's hazy, right? It reminds me
Yes.
of orange juice.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you look at the head and it's kind of like soft and fluffy.
Yes.
And when you take your first kind of like smell, it's not super aggressive, but you maybe get a little bit of orange citrus.
Yeah, that's true.
And then when I taste it, it washes through my mouth and it feels really like fluffy and creamy.
Yeah.
And that comes from the wheat for sure. Definitely.
Right.
I found it to be really smooth and creamy.
I like it. I think you guys, I think you made a good one here. I really enjoy it. And this is the first time that I've had it, so.
Do you like that kind of wheat beer style?
I used to really, when I was like in my kind of mid-20s, early mid-20s, I really liked dark, heavy beers. But then as I've gotten older, which is interesting because I feel like people would kind of go the opposite way. If they really love beer, that they would start out drinking, like a really kind of lighter, maybe not so good beer, and then as their palate kind of, matures, they move to kind of darker, more, I don't want to say tasteful necessarily, but beers that have a little more body to them. But I've kind of gone the other way. So I'm glad that you picked this one. Not to say that the other beers that you guys make are not as good. They're very good, but yeah, I like this one a lot.
Well, it's here for a limited time. It's designed to be one of those like patio summer drinking.
Yeah.
Hot out with your friends playing maybe golf or going swimming.
Right. Do you guys do marketing research? Like when you make a beer like this, I'm assuming that you're thinking, okay, we're going to release it July 1st. We know that just based on what research tells us that women will probably like this. They'll, maybe more so than men. They're probably going to want to drink it when they're out at the lake with their friends and, doing it. Or
that's funny. That's a great question, and it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on how old you are. Gender does matter.
Right.
But it also depends where you are in the craft beer journey. So
where would people who drink this, where would they be in that journey?
The people that we see drinking our beer, let's back it up a bit.
Yeah.
If you're in your 30s and you're drinking craft beer, we've already got you.
Right.
We don't really need to market to you because you're already paying attention and you get it.
Right.
You've already made those decisions when you were in your 20s to now your 30s to say, I want to try something that's different, more bold and flavorful. You have a different set of values than, say, somebody who just wants to get just wasted for cheap.
Drinking kokanee or something like that.
When you're going for craft, we know that if you're going to be spending a couple bucks extra on a case for that craft product, you're probably more of an experienced drinker. Like you want to drink and have a nice experience versus just get something wet in your mouth that's cold and will be refreshing on a hot day.
Right.
But then we also know that women are the primary purchasers for most households. And women are the most likely to try something new. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're in your 30s and you're a guy, you're probably not going to try something new if you aren't already. If you're not already trying all these different craft beers, the odds are you're probably just sticking with your regular preferred light lager that you grew up with, and that's it.
Right.
When it comes to understanding how women make purchases, we know that they're primarily the purchaser for households, and they're the ones who will convert their boyfriends and husbands to try craft beer because they'll say, hey, I picked up something new and you should try it.
So that applies even at the liquor store as well. I mean, I can understand, although I feel like it's probably changing where more men, they're going to buy groceries and things like that as opposed to their wife or girlfriend. But even at the liquor store, that's still true. Is that right?
Women are the ones who are the primary converters and triers of new things. They're the ones who are more willing to experiment with something new. Right.
And guys, they like their thing. They go out, they know that they're getting a case of whatever. They've had that for, they like that taste, they like that brand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're not going to switch.
Right.
Unless their girlfriend says, hey, I got something new I want to
Oh,
try.
yeah. Yeah.
And then they go, oh, okay. And the
I'd
light
better-
bulb turns on.
I'd better get in line here and enjoy this.
Yeah. So it's funny. In the way that we know we have a core demographic of men and women, it's actually fairly evenly split, 50-50. When we're looking at all our research and our pieces, it's not a male-dominated category. Women are drinking just as much craft beer as men.
Great.
People maybe assume it's a little broy, but it's not.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. I guess I would have assumed that. So that's nice that it's not like that.
We do see, though, that when you're aged, say, 19 to 25, you're probably more of a price-sensitive drinker. You're looking to get the cheapest amount of product for get the most product for the cheapest price possible.
Right.
But then once you kind of like finish university or you're into your first career,
Yeah.
that's when people start to say, I want to enjoy something and I'm willing to spend a little bit more to get it.
Yeah, because you have some more money to.
Yeah, more
around
disposable
with.
income.
Right.
And also your taste buds are maturing. You're not just wanting to slam McDonald's 5 days a week. You're
Yeah.
you're willing to go to a little bit
Nothing
higher
wrong
class
with
restaurant.
that, but yeah. No, I get it. Oh, interesting.
I'm not knocking McDonald's. I'm just saying
Yeah.
you don't want to eat it 5 days a week.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll be like Morgan Spurlock.
Yeah.
Although he did that for a month.
And then lost weight.
Yeah. Incredible.
Lost mass, I guess. Muscle mass. Turning to Jell-O.
Right. Yeah. So I guess if you want to drink beer a lot of people do drink beer 5 days a week, I guess. So whatever.
We actually discovered through our research that
Yeah.
there's basically two kinds of drinkers. People who will party drink. So it was like the long weekend and
Yeah.
have a vacation.
Craven.
They'll just gibber and
Yeah.
they go hard.
Yeah.
And that's when they drink. And then there's another group of people, they'll have 2 to 3 beers a week, but they're doing it with food and meals. And it's intentional. It's not just drinking to drink, it's drinking and pairing it with food.
Right.
Yeah.
And for you guys, who is it a mix of both, or more so the people in that second group where they're buying the wheat beer to go with, something that they're making that night. Not so many people that are just drinking to get
It really depends.
to get blacked out. I'm
It
assuming.
really depends, and it's changing a lot. So we now have the lentil 8-pack because there was so much demand for an 8-pack of lentil, and we have the 8-pack of cerveza,
Right.
which is our brand new summer beer. And that thing's outselling everything else. It's now our number one
The
seller.
cerveza.
It overtook lentil, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What is it about 8 beers in a pack that people love?
I think
Did you
when
make-
they
did you
grab
guys make a
4, they
four
feel like
before?
it's not enough.
Yeah.
We started with 4 packs because we're like, that's easy. You can grab it. You can hold one in each hand, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And it's ostensibly a 437 milliliter can, tall boy.
Yeah.
It's basically equivalent to a pint.
Right.
It's a little bit bigger than the little cans.
Yeah.
So we knew by volume it's the same. That tall boy 4-pack is the equivalent of a 6-pack,
Oh.
liquid wise.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so why didn't you guys do 6 tall boy cans then? Why didn't you just go? How come you doubled it to 8?
Price points.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was. I think
Yeah.
that was the original decision, and it's easier to carry 4,
Right.
especially if you're thinking about holding it in just one finger each.
Right. Yeah. I
And
suppose.
if you're loading up 2 4-packs in your hand, it's probably about as much as your hand can comfortably carry and hold
Right.
for a period of time from like the car to your fridge.
Yeah.
And then just having that 8-pack case and a nice cardboard piece just makes it easier to carry.
Right.
It's less thinking. You
Yeah.
just grab it and go.
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me.
And if you're going to like barbecue or the lake,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you don't want to futz around with a growler or a keg. Growlers
Yeah.
are nice, and we like this Summer Wheatley is only available in growlers, no cans.
Right.
And that's fine. That's great if you've got the insulated, you've invested in that growler. But cans are just a no-brainer. You just crack them, go. They're easy to recycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys had quite a growth in people buying growlers?
No, growlers have declined. Cans have overtaken
Why?
everything. Because cans are just easier.
Oh yeah.
And more stores
More
can
convenient.
accommodate.
Yeah.
Like, we do have stores that sell growlers.
Yeah.
So you go to like Sobeys, you can get a
Right.
growler for
Yeah.
or you can get cans. It's like, oh, I forgot my growler at home. I'll just get cans. Poof, you just go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the oh, I'm out driving around, I'm going past Sobeys, darn, I don't have my growler. I mean, most people, let's be honest, most people don't just have their growler hanging out in the back of their car. Maybe they do.
Some do.
Some maybe, yeah, some maybe do, but yeah, it would be more convenient just to go and just pop in and get the tall boy cans, right?
Yeah. And if you think about what people have been conditioned to purchase for the last 60 years,
Yeah.
everything's switched from glass to now cans.
Yeah.
Because cans are safer than glass in terms of breakage.
Yeah.
And it's
Is that the main reason why?
cans are also cheaper than glass.
Right. Because I was thinking recently that I can't recall the last time I had a glass bottle of beer.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like I actually don't know.
Do you
My
seek
mother,
out,
huh?
do you seek out particular beers?
No.
No. Just cans mostly, or draft? In a
Yeah,
restaurant?
yeah. I mean, I guess I just anytime. Now, usually when I'm drinking beer, it's in the summer, like a lot of beer, I guess. It would be in the summer and at the lake. And maybe for the reason that you just said, for the breakability factor, cans are just, they're there. But even like at the liquor store that we have at the lake, I don't know if they sell any bottled beer, now that I think about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I guess I'd have to look a bit closer, open up each door of the cooler and see what's going on in here. But yeah, that's
Well,
interesting.
In terms of small craft brewers, most of them are choosing cans because bottles are so expensive.
Right. And that's the thing for you guys.
Yeah.
Basically. Right.
Expense. Packaging.
Yeah.
Packaging is our number one cost after everything else, like for wages.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your wages, but then like packaging costs so much.
Right.
So much money.
And you guys, you do such cool designs on your cans
Well, thanks.
that I'm assuming you wouldn't be able to really do on a bottle quite as well. Am I right?
I mean, you just have a sticker, probably a sticker label. It wouldn't.
But it
look
wouldn't
the
go all
same.
the way around like on the tall boy cans. Like you guys have some very nice artwork,
Well, thank you.
but you probably wouldn't be able to. You can't really wrap that around a whole glass bottle.
We'd have to modify it,
Right.
shrink it. Yeah.
Okay.
But we've had to make some modifications from our old cans,
Yeah.
which is right there up on the shelf
Right.
there,
Yeah.
to our new ones that we've learned that consumers, the way they look at the shelf and what they're glancing at, you've basically got them for 2 to 3 seconds to look at your can and decide to purchase.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we've tried to very much simplify our cans. We've taken away a lot of the text and we just said, here's 4 words that describe this beer. You glance at it for a second, you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
But that's for people are busy, right? How much time? You got screaming kids in tow. You just want to get in, get out.
Yeah.
You don't want to think too hard about what you're purchasing. You just grab it and go.
All right.
And for the beer geeks, they know they can find more information on Untapped, or they're already following us on Twitter and Facebook. So they have that information at their fingertips and they know where to find it.
Right.
But if you think you're just grabbing quickly, you're just in and out.
Yeah.
4 words, for our fruit sours, it's like tart, fruity, delicious, refreshing.
Oh,
That's
that
all I
sounds
can
good. Yeah.
For lentil, it's like light, crisp, refreshing,
Right.
delicious.
I have one more question about the marketing side of things for you guys.
Sure.
Do you know, like on the demographic side of things, people that buy your beers, are they more like, are they married with family, kids, or are they single, or like common law, no kid entrepreneur types, who like that kind of thing?
So you're saying like double income, no kids.
Yeah, the dinks. Yeah.
It's a spread.
Okay.
So we know that our primary audience is a little bit older. They're not 19 years old.
Yeah.
They're probably, people are finding us around the age of 25. That's when people really start finding us. So we find our audience ranges primarily between the ages of 25 and 40. That's like the big range.
Oh, interesting.
And there are people outside that range, but lots of families. Lots of people who are married. They've got kids. They just want to have a nice beer with supper on a Friday.
Right.
That kind of thing. And those are the people who are 2 to 3 beers per week.
Yeah.
As opposed to the I'm going to have beer every single day.
Right.
Thing.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We did a customer survey and we kind of asked people for feedback. And one of the things they said was, we can't bring our kids to your tap room.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a limiting factor. We want to maybe sit and have a drink while we wait for our growler to get filled, but it's not a friendly space for kids.
Right.
So we've said to ourselves, we live in a province that has a prohibition culture, and that really kind of shames the association or having kids around alcohol.
Yeah.
But we have restaurants in town where you can get a beer with your supper, and there are kids running up and down, with crayons and
most
doing their thing.
Most restaurants, you can do that.
Yeah. So what we did in response to that feedback was, we said, let's try it out. Let's get our license shifted, so now you can bring your kids to the tap room.
Right.
And we have board games and crayons and stuff.
Yeah.
And we just say, you have to mind your kids. They have to be respectful. This is a place where it's primarily for adults.
Yeah.
You will be treated well, and you can have like a juice box. We've got like juice box for kids. But it's so mom and dad can just relax and not feel guilty about leaving their kid in the car while they get a growler fill or something, grabbing to go.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
Like my little guy, he's 8 now, but before we had that policy, I'd make him stand at the front with his butt against the window. And I'd be like, stay
terrible.
there, don't move.
He was probably so embarrassed.
He was like hiding his hands behind his back. He's like, I shouldn't be in here, Dad. And I'm like, just, you know what? You're not being served. Just stay there at the front door.
Yeah, but that's awkward for him. And he wants to go in and spend time with you and be around you probably. And
he loves it. Now that he can go play pinball.
Right,
I bring in a couple loonies.
Yeah, you guys have the pinball machines there.
Yeah. So he gets a couple games of pinball, and then we give him some free popcorn. He sit him up on the chair. He thinks it's the greatest.
Yeah.
He's drinking like his juice.
And because of that, people will like that more. They will appreciate that you guys are doing things like that and will want to come back more often.
Hope so.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to alienate people.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we haven't had to ask people to like leave because their kid is being bad, but it's kind of implied if your kid's out of control.
Right.
We can't have your kid taking a header off somebody else, at the bar top.
No. Yeah. No, that would not be good, I don't think.
So tell me about your background with podcasting. How'd you get into the whole podcasting game?
I got into podcasting because I wanted to talk to people, basically. The podcast that I do right now, the Talking 306 podcast, I started that this past fall, so in October 2018. A number of years back, actually, though, in 2014, it might have been late 2014 or maybe early 2015, I started one with a friend, and then we did a couple of episodes, and then I think he moved away or he did something, and then later that spring I kind of picked it up again with another guy, but just because of the work that I did at the time, I worked in government, just didn't really work out. I mean, you understand that, you work in government, having a podcast is maybe not the best idea, particularly when you work on the political side of government, right?
A career limiting move?
Well, yeah, maybe, yeah.
It's hard to have opinions.
Well, it wasn't even like I was sharing political opinions, but I think that there was the concern that, well, something may happen, somebody may say something, one of my guests may do something, so I put that back, that was on the back burner, I guess, totally off. And then when I left government at the end of last summer, I knew that when I left that I wanted to start my own podcast again. So I really hate small talk with people. I absolutely can't stand it. And I developed some pretty decent relationships with people around the province that had some amount of profile. So I figured that with my podcast, I could talk to, some fairly notable people in the province, and that's what my podcast is about. So I've talked to John Gormley, he was my first guest, lots of people in the media, so Murray Mandrick, Adam Hunter, Sarah Mills from Local Radio. Rod Peterson is going to be my guest next week. Brad Wall, I talked to him for a short episode. I've talked to Megs Reynolds. She's a fairly notable farmer from southwest part of the province. So yeah, I've talked to a bunch of different people, and really what I talk to them about is their journey in life. Because one thing that I found, maybe you have as well, is that people like hearing people talk about their story. You know, so often we just think of people in the current moment, right? But you know, most of these people have great stories, you know, and so I talk to them about, you know, where they grew up and their family, and you know what they did in school and what they liked to, you know, do growing up in university, and you know the kind of the big steps that lead people to get to where they are right now in their life.
A little bit of This Is Your Life.
A little bit, yeah, and I've liked that format. I like the long form kind of setting, and I'm able to, you know, dive a little deeper in with people. And I don't have a journalism background. I know that you do, but you know, doing it, there have been times where I would kind of wonder, maybe journalism should have been my thing in life. I don't think I would have made very much money ultimately, but I'm not sure if I am right now anyway. But I do like talking to people. I love it, and so yeah, that's what my own podcast is about.
What was the genesis of the podcast network? Something with Alberta?
Yeah, so kind of at the same time last fall when I started my own podcast, I quickly became annoyed at how hard it was to find other Saskatchewan podcasts. You know, it's fairly easy to find podcasts like this one that have a little more profile, I guess, just, you know, because of the business that is doing it. But I knew that there were other like smaller local podcasts on, you know, various topics, but they were so hard to find. And even after going on places like, you know, like Reddit and going into all the subreddit pages, you know, I found a number that way, but I knew that there were still some out there. So the Alberta Podcast Network was something that I came across. They launched, I think, in the fall of 2017. So they've been up and running for, I guess, about a year when I discovered them. And I saw it, and I thought, okay, I need to reach out to these people, because I think that doing something here in Saskatchewan would be so great. So I contacted their president and just kind of asked, you know, like the nuts and bolts about how they got going and, you know, some of the details there. So, and then really for about the last eight or 9 months, it's been actually building the network, and, you know, the website and the branding and the social media pages. That's kind of been one thing, but really the biggest part has been finding the podcasts to be on the network and contacting them, you know, just like I contacted you, and saying, hey, would you like to be a part of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network in some fashion at least? And then most of the podcasts would say yes, it sounds like a great idea, we would for sure be interested. And then I had to go away and basically build it, you know, build the site and the social, like the actual thing itself, and then come back and say, okay, we're almost ready to launch. Do you still want to do this? And almost everyone still said yes. And if you said, well, you know, we've actually stopped doing our podcast, or, you know, some other reasons. So 2 weeks ago today, I officially launched, and yeah, it's been really interesting so far. There's been a lot of new podcasts that I didn't even know about that have contacted me since we launched, and they said, we'd like to be on the network. And I tell them, okay, here's what you kind of have to do in return, and like what our deal is. And for the most part, they've all said, yeah, great. And a few have said, well, let me talk to my co-hosts or whatever. So, but yeah, we are off and running. So it's exciting.
What show have you discovered that you really enjoy listening to for the podcast network?
There's a new one that reached out to me since we launched. I would say all the ones that were on when we started, they're all great. But this new one that reached out to me by this guy named James, he's in Saskatchewan. It's called Friendless, and what he does is he does an interview with one of his Facebook friends, and they talk, and then afterward, they unfriend each other, and then they decide if they actually want to be friends or not. And it's a commentary on what does it mean to be a friend with somebody on social media these days, right? And I think because Facebook is, I think it's kind of been pushed down the social media ladder. It seems like Instagram has overtaken Facebook in a lot of ways. I think it's such a great idea. Okay, we call them friends on Facebook, but I have many people that I follow on Facebook that I'm not friends with. So what does being a Facebook friend actually mean? And they have a big conversation, and yeah, it's a really neat concept. And I'm very happy that podcast is on our network now. So, and it kind of, that one speaks to, there's podcasts like that. There's interview ones like mine and some others. There's a writer's podcast. There's a golf podcast.
I know Greg from the Piffles podcast.
Yeah, they're on there, and
I went to school with him.
Okay, yeah, no, so their writers podcast is kind of I think probably the leading Rough Riders podcast in the province. So I was really happy when they said that they would come on the network, but with all those different themes for podcasts, there's just such a great variety of podcasts in our province. It's great, and not that many of them are really, Saskatchewan specific. So yeah, it's nice. It's wonderful.
Who's a sleeper? Who do you think's got real potential to come up and make some noise?
There is a woman. Her name is Jade Roberts. Her podcast is called Still Here, Still Healing, and she interviews residential school survivors, and she is not able to do that many episodes because, I think understandably, she told me it's hard to find survivors who will share their story with her, just because it's such an emotional, difficult thing. But I think that podcast is very important for this province, and yeah, hopefully she's able to talk to some more people, because I think it's very important. Sean Broom.
I know Sean.
Yeah, he does the Story of You podcast. That's in Regina.
Is it a comedy-oriented podcast?
No.
I remember him from being at Comedy Days.
Okay. Well, I mean, some of his guests, they may be funnier, but the ones that I've listened to, his podcast is a lot like mine in that he gets, he kind of delves a bit deeper with his guests and talks about their life, and he, like some of his guests, his guests have shared some of their like very traumatic experiences in their life, and like very challenging times with their family and parents and things like that. So I went on his podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I said to him, we have similar podcasts. You talk to people just really more like on the micro level. Here in Regina, he doesn't talk. He talks to some more notable people, but like he'll have people just random people in the community say, "Hey, I'd like to come onto your podcast," and he'll talk to them, which I think is great, because people's stories wouldn't normally be able to be told or to be shared if it wasn't from him. So, but they're not all dark and sad. He talks to a bunch of different people. So I think those are two good ones. And but again, there's we have over 30 podcasts on the network now. So there's a whole bunch. If hopefully soon none of them will be sleepers. They'll all be very popular. One of the things that I think about a lot these days, and I've said this in the last number of weeks, is that in this day and age, when people think that all that we do is stare at our cell phones, and we're on Facebook and Instagram and whatever, that we're not talking to the people that are nearby us, that podcasting has become so popular, and usually what it is people talking to each other. So and podcasting has become so popular. So I think about that. We are spending lots of time on Instagram, scrolling away or reading tweets on Twitter that tomorrow will mean absolutely nothing. But this explosion in podcasting and people like you and I talking to each other about whatever, whether it's beer or sharing some very personal stories with each other. I think it's really interesting. It says a lot about where people are right now, that we do want to hear content like that. We do want to listen to people's stories, and that's really one of the big reasons why I love podcasting. I like hearing other people talk about things like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Dale, I want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much for having me. The beer was great.
Thumbs up.
Yes, I may go get it now. In fact, it is the weekend after all. We're doing this on a Friday, so
Deadly.
Do you guys have some of this available right now?
Yeah,
okay.
That's why we're promoting it on the show.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And anyone else who's listening, tell me the name of this beer again.
Summer Wheatley.
Summer Wheatley.
It's a reference to Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay. I didn't love that movie. People are going to hate me for saying that. Not one of my favorites, but I know that other people love it. The beer is great. So, everyone should go and get it. And thanks very much for having me on here.
Rebels, thanks for tuning in this week. If you want to find the latest news about Rebellion Brewing, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Untapped. I'm going to include links to the Saskatchewan Podcast Network so you can find out more about all the shows we just talked about. Just check it out in the show notes below. Once again, thank you for joining the Rebellion.